All right, it's time for an on-the-record field trip. We went to Capitol Hill where Republican Senator Orrin Hatch went on the record. Nice to see you, Senator.
Nice to see you, Greta.
After yesterday, are we farther towards a bill that is bipartisan or not?
Well, I think what established yesterday was that the President's a very intelligent man. He did a good job of questioning and also making statements, but it also made it very clear that Republicans aren't dolts, that they raised a lot of issues that really the Republicans think have to be in any health care reform bill, and that they're willing to work with them on it. But the third thing is that he basically is going to go to reconciliation, and I think this was a photo op in order to get them so that they can go to reconciliation, which would be an abuse of the Senate rules like I've never seen before.
Photo op seems like a nice word for a joke.
Well, it isn't meant to be a joke.
Well, why do you call it a photo op then?
Well, it was a photo opportunity for the President to demonstrate that he at least is articulate in this area. It was a photo op for some of the Republicans, too, so that they could say what they wanted to, and Democrats who were there, members of Congress.
Then we sort of had them, because the American people thought that the whole purpose of this, and maybe it was that both sides were at least going to sit down in the same room and consider each other's viewpoints. If that was not the intention, if it's just a photo op, obviously the word joke is mine, and that's a crude word, but I mean it's like, do you think people really didn't go into this thinking that there might be some common ground?
Well, it was apparent that the Republicans there really were saying, look, we don't agree with your approach. Here's what we would do. We would certainly involve the states. Look, if the President had a set of governors there, they would tell them, look, let us handle it. We have different demographics. We have different needs. Utah's not Massachusetts, although both states have what's called an exchange, but they're different. And Utah is considered the #1 managed state in the union right now. And one reason is because of some of the health care approaches we have. And there are 3 or 4 other states that fit in that category as well. But no, what happened there is I think Republicans were expressing themselves. And basically, in the end, I think it was set up so that the President could say, well, we're so far apart, we're going to go to reconciliation in order to get this bill through. Now,
so the fix was in going into this, you're saying? That there was no intention to do anything but to listen, to put a nice transparency program together for all of us to watch, but nonetheless, neither side gave. The President's not thinking going to take what the Republicans say, and he's going to reconciliation.
Well, I don't know that neither side gave. I think the Republicans were saying, look, if we could do this, 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 and this, we'd be very interested in working with you. But I think at the end, the President said, we're going to keep the same bill that we have with my 11-page addendum, which adds another $75 billion to the total bill of $2.5 trillion. I thought it was pretty interesting how some of the Republicans pointed out some of the gimmicks, budgetary gimmicks that they're using in this bill in order to get, first of all, to get it to $950 billion in cost when we know they start the taxes, but they don't start the program in many ways until 2014. And they even put off the Cadillac plan to satisfy the unions till 2018.
Well, that's
that's long after the President will be gone from the office, even if he's elected twice.
Well, so let me ask you about that 2018 tax. Yeah. If it's such a good idea that we should put a tax on the Cadillac, what's the reason not to do it now?
Well, there's only one reason. That is to get it out of his jurisdiction, out of his term in office, so that he's not going to be blamed for it.
So
I mean, it's
political
ridiculous.
and not conscionable?
Well, sure, political. It's a gimmick. The gimmick of delaying the actual implementation of the bill until 2014 is a gimmick, so that they can keep under $1 trillion. But that's not what it is. Extrapolated over 10 years, it's at least $2.5 trillion. And that's if we're lucky. You know, our estimates back here have always amounted to more money in the end, and that's if we're lucky. Now, look, I think it will be used as a justification to go to reconciliation because the President clearly does not agree with letting the states basically handle this with federal government help in accordance with their own demographics, in doing a lot of things that the Republicans think we could get together on. And he made it very clear he's going to go to reconciliation.
Do you think he made that decision before yesterday? And so I guess I'm trying to get to the point.
The answer is yes. Yes.
So you say a photo op, and we use my words a little harsher. But so yesterday, how about sham? Can we go in between?
I wouldn't call it a sham. I think it was an exercise, a good exercise. But
in what?
Well, it's an exercise in talking back and forth.
But if both sides had made up their minds ahead of time, I mean, let me just say it: if he had already made up his mind ahead of time, then what's the exercise we got?
Well, it was very clear that he was not going to start on a step-by-step basis, start over, work with Republicans on good ideas that the Republicans have that we think Democrats would accept, and that he was going to keep the very bill that basically went through the Senate, basically that bill, add $75 billion more to it, and play a lot of budgetary gimmicks, and then, in the end, go to reconciliation anyway. And that was pretty clear.
What's wrong with reconciliation? Because the American people are sitting there thinking, like, they keep hearing this word reconciliation. Why are the Republicans fighting reconciliation?
Well, the difference between the House and the Senate, the House is a fast-acting body. If they get a rule and they can get 51% of the votes on a given day, they can pass anything they want. The Senate is a more deliberative body, and it was designed that way. That's why we have the filibuster rule, so that the minority is not trampled upon. And it has worked amazingly well over the years to stop all kinds of bad legislation that has gone through. Now, in order to, because of the filibuster rule and because there have been budgetary difficulties in the past, the reconciliation rule was designed by Senator Byrd, basically.
A Democrat.
A Democrat, with the help of Republicans, designed to, on budget matters concerned with the deficit, to get the deficit taken care of by either increasing taxes or decreasing taxes and cutting. You could go to a vote within 20 hours of debate. That's a very limited time of debate. And you could do it by a 51-vote margin. Now, look, we're talking about 1/6 of the American economy. We're not talking about just budget deficits. We're not just talking about the budget. We're talking about really wrecking the country if we don't do it right.